your girl, Evelyn Lozada, on a new episode of Drop the Low. I am so excited for today. I'm always excited. And by the way, last week we were unable to shoot. I was out of town. I was in New York doing the damn thing. I was in Omaha for a baseball tournament. So we did skip an episode, but we're back today. I'm here with my amazing co-host.
Well, I missed you while you were gone. I was one babysitter down, and it was not fun, let me tell you.
Did you appreciate me more while
I
I was gone?
appreciated you more than ever, let
Oh,
me tell you.
thank you.
Okay, so today we have Stephanie
Acevedo.
Acevedo here today, a familiar face from VH1's Cartel Crew and a former Young Money artist. Steph gets candid with us about her past relationships, the realities of reality TV, life growing up with ties to cartel culture, and what it's really like being married in the public eye. From behind-the-scenes tea to raw personal truths, this one's a ride you don't want to miss.
So, disclaimer, you guys may know her as Stephanie Acevedo, but she's now Stephanie Acevedo Ball. On your Instagram, it says Stephanie just Ball, right?
Right. I'm trying to transition into my wifey era. I'm just trying to ease into it. I'm married now, so respectfully, I am Stephanie Acevedo Ball.
Got you. So, the world knows you from the reality show that you were on VH1.
Yes.
And I feel like, so when I met you, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, she did a show. And then I was like, let me see clips. And I said, you remind me a lot of myself on this show. You were very outspoken. How was it like filming that show? And give us a little background. So you and I have gotten close, but I'm like, wait a minute, is her family part of the cartel? Like, give us some insight.
So when I was growing up, my dad was a part of the cartel. He was a drug trafficker, so he would do the runs where they would meet halfway in the water on speedboats, and they would bring in kilos of cocaine into Miami. So my dad was hired. He would get the crew ready. My dad was the captain. And he would just bring all these drugs inside. They do an exchange. My dad was not a drug dealer. He didn't worry about selling the drugs. He was paid to bring the transportation, and offload, onload, and that was it. We had a great lifestyle. When I was growing up, my dad, I never lacked for anything. And, we always had, like, the parties at our house, like the big parties, drinking, the big houses, the great cars. Every family member, would come over, and live the life until my dad was federally indicted by the feds. And at first, he was facing 25 years on conspiracy charges. And he had a mistrial. It was really, a safe, honestly, it was like luck, really, because my dad was about to get sentenced. And they realized that one of the jurors' husbands was sitting with us, behind us, the entire time. But that person, when the jurors are coming in and out, is telling his wife what's happening when the jurors are not present. So we had a mistrial, and then my dad was able to plead guilty. So when he pled guilty, they gave him a 10-year sentence. And with all the programs, the ins and outs, halfway house, and all that, my dad ended up doing 6 years. But yeah, it was a really tough life. My dad really taught me essential things about, like, protecting myself. My husband says that I'm, like, very fearful, but it's a more caution kind of energy when you are kind of exposed to things that you were not normally exposed to. You kind of have your guard up.
Right.
Like, I'm not on my phone when I'm walking to my car. Like, I don't trust everybody. Like, I'm always on my P's and Q's, and it's part of the experience of being with a dad that has seen the worst and has lived through the worst. I feel like my dad really gave me some tools to kind of be a little more on my game. So,
How old were you when he ended up going to jail?
8.
So you were
I was an 8-year-old girl sitting in my dad's trial, and I remember because my brother didn't know. But the day that they broke into my house at 5 a.m. to take my dad, I was watching it the entire time. My dad didn't have a shirt on. He was sleeping. He came down and he was like, listen, we had helicopters. We had SWAT all over our house. And he said, can I just put a shirt on? And they're like, no, we're taking you right now. I remember just looking, and I remember the door shutting and my mom was like, what am I going to do? It was like, it didn't feel real. It felt like a movie.
Right, I got
The
goosebumps. I
things
feel
you
like
see
that.
in movies when they just rip your dad right out of your life and there's nothing you could do about it. And then they treat you. And look, I respect the law because that's who we call when we're in help. But I kind of felt like we were doing time. And when you go see your family members in prison, they're not necessarily very nice to you. And I remember, going downtown in Miami and we had to wait a line at 5 a.m. to then wait 2 hours to then cross over to get called by and wait another line to then go inside to wait another line. And our visitation wasn't until 10 a.m. And we've been waiting in lines for like 5 hours.
Wow.
Just to not lose our spot. Because sometimes if you're in the back of the line, they'll cut the line off and they'll say, you guys, we'll see them next weekend. So, visitations were hard. I couldn't touch my dad. I had to see him, sitting like this. If we hugged him, they can suspend our visitation and say, you guys are no longer visiting. This is terminated because you guys are not supposed to touch each other. So, holidays, birthdays were hard. I really look forward to like the phone calls and the cards. And, my mom really stepped up though. Like she was mom and dad, like as most Puerto Rican women, she was like really strong and she taught me, core values about survival and just kind of being like, listen, you got to figure it out. You're a mom first. And I think that's probably why I've never allowed anyone to take care of me. I've only always done for myself because I know if you don't have a backup plan, if that person ever leaves you or if something ends up happening, you need to know how to fend for yourself. So I think that's like where my survival skills also come from. Like seeing my mom do everything
Right.
for 6 years.
Right.
Did
you know, because you said you guys had big houses and you would live in a certain lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Did you know were you suspicious? Because one thing, it made me think about something about me growing up. Mm-hmm. So you don't realize that even though you were 8 years old and you were a kid, we know more than like your kids know more than you think, and even with me and my sister growing up, we saw certain things as children growing up, and we have a 3-year age difference. Mm-hmm. But I was born in the 70s. We were growing up in the 80s, and there was a lot going on during that time with drugs and me being exposed to certain things and seeing certain things. Mm-hmm. I think the people that were around us then, whether it was family, friends of family parties, because there were a lot of parties, we knew what was up. So we paid attention to everything. We were like little sponges. So, and I think that's why even with my son now, I'm very mindful of the things that I do. Because your kids are watching everything that you're doing. You think they're not, but they are.
Oh, yeah.
So did you know, I say that all to say, did you know what he was doing when you were younger? Were you suspicious?
It's crazy because my mom, it was crazy because my dad made a lot of money but never went to work. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm like, where is this coming from? But I just figured like my dad was just like a magician. Like he just made things happen. I don't know, from his couch. Right. And I never really questioned it. The only thing that I was very exposed to is that because my dad was, rico suave, Scarface at the time, it brought a lot of women. And so there was a lot of infidelity going on. And my mom, being from Puerto Rico, moving to Miami, didn't have support. So I was my mom's support system. Mm. So I was very young and I knew, my dad was outside. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He was outside. He was at the clubs. He loved going to strip clubs. My mom would wake us up at 5 a.m. Get up, wake up. And my mom is like chasing him. Like she's trying to find where he's at. Oh, like she's amando escándalo, doing the whole show. Like, how are you doing this to me? And then I used to kind of feel like I had to pick a side. So I would always kind of check my dad, like, why are you doing this? And he'd be like, don't get involved. Like, you're too young. But I kind of felt like, not on purpose, but my mom kind of put that pressure on me to, like, stick up for her. She'd be like, right, Steph? And I'd be like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing this. And I'm thinking, what do I know? But I know it felt wrong. And so then now, you get older and, like, this, we'll go into the show in a minute. But because of my version of things, and being a woman now, you stick up for your mom normally, because that's kind of like the right thing to do, has caused like a lot of even bad blood between me and my dad, and we still haven't even been able to recover. So I didn't experience necessarily the drug trafficking thing. It was more of the infidelity thing that brought the lifestyle, and then it just, money brings a certain kind of energy. You know what I'm saying? My dad was young. He didn't know how to like manage being a family man and having so much money thrown at him. I mean, there was a time where my dad built himself up to where he was making $1 million a run. $1 million in the 80s and 90s is a lot of money.
Yes.
Now it's different. We see money a little different, but back then, like, you could live lavish and you could pay anything in cash. Our houses were paid off, our cars were paid off. Now you have to show the bank, where is this money coming from?
Right.
Back then it was like, well, if you come up with 100,000, no one's worried about where it came from. They're like, thank you for the money. Here's your house or your car. You know what I mean? So I mean, yeah, I didn't ever exposed to that, but I was exposed to other things, unfortunately, that came with the lifestyle.
How old were your parents when they had you? Because you said your dad was young.
Yeah, he was, so my dad lied about his age.
When he met your mom?
When he met my mom, he was 19. And he
he's
said he was 25. Because he was a big guy, he was making big moves. It was Papi Chulo from Miami, and he had the Porsche, and he had a boat, and he had money. He was at a section in the club, always had his section blocked off. They knew that when he was coming in every weekend, my mom would see him. My mom was at the bar. Because my mom was like, I would see him from afar and be like, man, I love that guy. But he was moving so grown.
Right.
Back in the day, men look more grown.
Right.
And my dad looked like he had it all figured out, so he lied. My mom was already 24, but my dad was 19, acting like he was 25. So,
I don't know what it is, like how you always, because Shanice's father.
My mom lied about her age too. I was just about to say that.
Yeah, you can tell the story.
He will not let it go. He's like, when I met your mom, because you were young, you were 16.
Well,
when you guys met,
we met a little bit before that. We did the do at 16.
Got pregnant at 16. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But he will not let it go.
Yeah, he's always like, she lied about her age. So we have a 3-year age difference, right?
Yeah.
So I guess back then, it is a big age, right? So look, if now it's not a huge age gap, right? Because we're like just older. But when you're young, 3 years feels like a big age difference. And I guess it is because I was 16, or I may have met him at 15, got pregnant at 16. And then I had Shanice at 17, but he was 19.
Girl, it makes a big difference if you're 16 and he's an adult, considered to be an adult.
Have you seen her father?
No wonder why.
Did you ever see a picture of her father
My dad's
from back in the day?
Listen, I do not blame you.
Still really good looking. Yeah,
I do not blame you. But how old did you say you were?
I think I said, I don't remember what I said I was. We would have to ask him. But I probably said I was 17, 18.
That's like a year. No, you're probably thinking it's a year.
Yeah, but I was, girl.
Back then you used to say I'm 16 and a half.
Yeah, I'm
a 13 and a half. What does that mean? I'm almost 14.
Listen.
Now I'm like, wait, I'm trying to hold on to every year. But back then you was trying to be older.
This is what I'm saying. Like when you're younger, you want to be older.
You were innocent.
But I saw him in the streets of Park Slope, Brooklyn, and he had this complexion and these beautiful colored eyes that he has. Big shout out to his wife, Lysandra.
Yeah, with all due respect.
We're in a text thread. Me, him, and his wife. Like, I love her. We love her.
Awesome.
Like, she's like anybody that could deal with him deserves a prize.
Oh my God.
He deserves un premio because he's a big personality, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I was like, I'm bagging that, you know? And he was so hot to me. And then
you look like he was looking for a seasoned woman.
Yeah,
and so
I know.
He was like, I'm 18. I'm 18.
And then, here she goes.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you.
Sometimes, because I hang out with you a lot, and then she comes, I almost forget she's your daughter.
Do you?
It's crazy. It's like sisters. You guys like really have a dynamic where there's like such a level of respect.
Yeah.
You don't talk down to her. She don't talk down to you. And when I see you guys, you're so well kept and so beautiful that it's like you guys stand next to each other and it's almost like a sisterhood as opposed to like a dynamic of a mother and daughter. Do you think that that's because you had her so young, Ev, and that you kind of see her more of a friend and a sister or you just always see her as a daughter?
No, I always see her as a daughter,
Okay.
but I feel like one of the things that I try to do differently with how I raised her versus how I was raised, I felt like my mother was very, I'm her mom, like,
And nothing else.
no, and it was like back in the day, it was a little more old school where maybe then they felt like I'm not trying to be your friend, I'm your mother, and you respect, right? But I feel like that's the reason why I got pregnant so young, because I didn't have that relationship with my mom where I could be like, I'm starting to feel some things. I met this guy. I didn't feel
lied on my
comfortable.
age.
Yeah, I lied
What
about
do you
my
think?
age.
What do
yeah.
you think?
we didn't I didn't feel like I had that outlet. My sister and I, we didn't feel comfortable enough to be able to talk to my mom about certain things. So then by the time I came out pregnant, I had a daughter, I'm like, okay, just winging it. But I remember one of the things that I always told myself is I don't want my daughter to come out pregnant young like I did.
Right.
And I feel like this is what would have helped me prevent that, is just really having a good relationship with her, so that she always felt comfortable to talk to me about whatever was going on. Because even in high school, you would tell me certain things like I'm going to Planned Parenthood, or you were very open.
She's like, I'm going to Planned
Going on
Parenthood.
birth control.
Yeah, but you were very open, but I feel like you were open because I opened the door for you to be open that way, So, and I always rather, want her to talk, I wanted my kids to talk to me about things versus going to your homegirl about it, because when you're young, your friends don't know shit,
Yeah,
so.
it's like you're literally two innocent kids trying to figure it out, asking each other for advice, and it's like no one knows shit.
Exactly.
For sure. How do you feel about your dynamic with your mom? Like, do you think she's more of a friend? Do you have like a motherly, like, oh, you're smothering me? What is it that you feel? Because I know what I see, but my perspective could very well be different.
Right.
No, we've always had a friendship, but I've always respected her as my mom.
Okay.
It was never like I'd gotten out of line with, like, I don't speak to
No.
you crazy,
No.
or she doesn't speak to me crazy either. So it was, like you said, there's always been a respect level of, but this is my mom.
Right.
Also, I'm very respectful of, like, I don't know, family members, elders. Like, I'm very like that. But no, I see her as my mom, but you're obviously also my friend. You are my first friend, honestly. Yeah, like, I would want my kid to be I want my kid to view me as their first friend too, you know?
course.
Like,
Of course.
and I think that's how you build friendships. Like, I've had friendships with my female friends for like 10, 15 years of just building a friendship with my mom.
You've had public relationships,
I
right?
have.
You've had a few publics.
Yes.
One I was actually surprised about.
Right.
Actually, two I was surprised about.
Right.
So, did you date Lil Wayne, or were you just signed to him?
So I must.
Or you
I
did?
must
It
say
was a
this.
combo piece.
So I'm gonna tell this on Ev's podcast because I've never said it before, ever. I fought it in the show, and at the time, a few years ago, when we were doing season 1, I was, Lil Wayne's artist. I was signed to Young Money. I went on the show, and that's what they ate me alive for. Oh, you're getting an opportunity because that's a guy that you're messing with. You're sleeping with Lil Wayne. You're fucking Lil Wayne. Blah blah. So I talked to Wayne, and we came up with this conversation of what would we tell the world. And I thought about it very, 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 very closely, because I didn't want people to take away my talent and take away my opportunities that were genuinely there because of a past. So he left it up to me, and I fought it. I fought it against everyone that it had never happened. But I'm going to say today, because I am, in a safe space and I don't care. My husband knows. Me and Wayne did have a relationship. We had a relationship for a few years. It didn't always start that way. When I met Wayne, he was such a mentor, and he would take me around to the studio, and he would teach me things, and he was just such a very interesting human being, because Wayne doesn't write down any of his raps. He's just very talented. He goes in the booth and he just raps everything that's on his mind, and he'll finish a whole song but never wrote one lyric down. And I found this fascinating, because when you're a musician, you can respect stuff like that. And so then he never, like, he was a gentleman, opened doors, was very respectful, never came on to me, never was aggressive. You know how some guys are just a little too touchy?
Right.
And you're like, man, like, he's so nice, but he just won't stop being too flirtatious. Wayne was the total opposite. So it was something that grew. I grew love for Wayne. I grew love out of my admiration. And I had other celebrities that I was friends with. I was friends with Trey Songz. I was friends with Fabulous. These are all friends. You know, I'm in Miami. I'm at Live on Sunday. I'm meeting these celebrities every other weekend. You know, I find myself in these parties meeting people. It doesn't always have to be that. And with Wayne, it just wasn't. And then it ended up later on with friendship and time, you know, it did. And it was a moment. I don't regret it. I learned a lot of things about myself. And when we decided to break up, because I wanted more stability. And I think that Wayne, he's so artistic and he's so in his element and he's going here and there in studio and skating. Wayne. Wayne didn't know how to be what I needed him to be. He just didn't know at the time. And I knew I wanted more. I wanted a family. I wanted marriage. I had this vision that one day I'd have this. And I wanted the music too. And he told me, he's like, if we want to move forward, I have to, like, I don't know how to get there, but I do know that I would like to be with someone that isn't in the music. So I'm going to need you to choose. Like, do you want to do a career or do you want to really be this person in my life that I'm going to try to be for? Like, I'm going to try to be the man you need me to be, but could you let music go? And I wasn't there. And I said, you know, we would have to be figuring this out. And then I love music more than anything. I'm like, I wasn't ready to let it go. So he said, okay, I love you enough to still help you musically, but we made a decision to not be with each other romantically. And then I dated other people. He dated Christina Milian. There was other relationships there. And then we just became good friends.
I didn't know he dated Christina Milian,
Yeah,
did he?
He did. And he was public about it.
Oh, was he?
I was kind of heartbroken at the time because it was a little after,
Right.
you know, and I still, like, had to be around him and be in the studio and act like Young Money artists and like nothing's happening and I wasn't just dying inside. But we ended up, you know, dating other people and being very respectful towards each other's, you know, choices after that. And then I got an opportunity for the show. And when I got the opportunity, that's when I told him. I said, I'm going on for my dad and my lifestyle, and I got this opportunity on VH1, and then I'm going to go in as a Young Money artist. I want to take this as a platform. And he told me, he's like, you do know what this means, right? The moment you come on, they're going to ask you. And they might take away the fact that you're really getting an opportunity with the fact that you dated me. So you just need to make a choice. So he left it up to me, and then I decided to say no. Me and Wayne have never been together. No, we've never dated. And I was lying the whole time. I was just in that era in my life where I wanted people to focus on me. I wanted people to focus on, you know, my craft and what I had to offer, and less on that I dated Wayne. And that was why I was getting my opportunity. I had other people. Trey Songz wanted me as an artist as well. And at the time, you know, Wayne was like, do you want me to be his artist or do you want to be mine? And I had to make a decision. So I went with Wayne. He had the label, the more established artist. Right. And I thought that would be a better fit for me. But
also, he's a legend.
A legend, a goat.
Yeah.
You can't, like, everyone has grown up in a Lil Wayne era. In some way, there's one song of Lil Wayne that we all love. So, yeah, it's only going to be respect and, you know, love from here. But when I dated my husband before, he's like, I have to ask before we know we're together. Like, I fought for you. He's like, he was actually a fan of my show, which is how I met Chris. He was a fan of Cartel Crew, and we had a mutual friend. And then his mutual friend introduced me to Chris. But the first thing he asked me, we're on a date, we're having a great time. He's like, I just want to know, did you date Wayne? And, you know, I was very confident. And with my chest, I said, yeah, I did. He's like, man, I swore that you didn't. He's like, all my friends were like, she did. And I was like, no, she didn't. I'm fighting for you. I said, well, you know, I own it. And there's nothing wrong with dating people. Nothing wrong with having a past. There's nothing wrong with having a connection with someone. I didn't commit a crime. I dated someone. But I wanted to give you this platform to say and that I have, and that was just something I wanted to come clean about. So,
Right.
yes, I did. I was Lil Wayne's girlfriend for some time.
And I would agree. There's nothing wrong with dating people. I
No.
think the commentary most of the time stems from who the person is.
Oh, for sure.
So
'Cause
you
if
have to
could've
be a
been
certain
Tom,
type
Dick,
of
or
girl.
Harry,
No one would be
nobody
talking about
would care.
it. Yeah.
But since we're saying names that people know, it's like automatically, I could have less bodies, but if they're famous bodies, no one cares. I mean, about that. If I'm there saying I fucked 50 people, but they're like no one knows, then it's okay. But if they're like all these famous people and there are 5 of them, then I'm the biggest hoe ever.
You know, we talked
to
about
hoes.
that. We talked about.
Why am I a hoe if I fucked 5 people? But that just because everybody knows
One of
them.
them was Wayne.
Right.
One of them is Little
What
Wayne.
is wrong?
I don't know.
That is so
I don't get
funny.
it.
I don't
either.
get it. I literally can count and have leftover fingers with 2 hands of the amount of people that I've slept with, but because they're famous, that makes me a hoe.
No, and it kills me too. It kills me. I am 49 years old.
Yeah, like
right?
how many bodies are we supposed to have?
No,
At
I'm
49?
49 years old, but a lot of my relationships have been public relationships, but they're long term. Like with Antoine, I was with him 10 years. You know, with Chad, I was with him 5 years. With Carl, I was with him almost 5 years too. Bro, that's 20 years right there.
Right.
You know, and if I've had a few sprinkle in there, let me live. You know, I'm fucking 49 years old. My God,
I deserve it.
you
like,
know, it's like, yeah, but there's this, I guess this, we talk about the perception a lot, like, oh my God, she's had those relationships. I'm like, really think about how long I've been on this earth.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's because those relationships were public.
That's
you
it.
know? They're like, oh, she had the trifecta.
So they're counting. Everybody is counting with their fingers. But I know friends of mine that are not known or public figures that have dated way more men than me ever. But no one's looking at them funny because they
don't
Tom,
know.
Dick, and Harry.
Right.
As opposed to famous people.
Exactly.
Sorry that my list of like my 5 people are cool.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry. You know, people say you date in your industry. If I was a nurse, maybe I'd date doctors. If I was an attorney, I would date, you know, judges and other attorneys. I feel like people date in their environment. It's
Right.
who you're coming across.
Right.
If you're
I've
a
done
cool
that.
girl and you're beautiful and you're coming to a certain party and there's this, you know, athlete or whatever that comes, you know, your way, are you going to say no because the world might think I'm a hoe? You know, no. You're like, okay, this is someone I can date. You know, I'm sorry that they're coming with a
Right.
certain name. I think that people are just haters.
Right.
They
right,
wish they
right.
would be in the rooms that we have been privileged to be, you know, in. And they should just say that.
Right.
Say I'm hating because I don't have access
Right.
to certain
Yeah.
things.
No, but it is true. You do date in your environment because I for sure have dated some people in the same circle.
For sure.
Or this person has a friend that knows this person.
course.
And it's not even intentional. It's just those are the places you go. Those are the people
Absolutely.
that you know. So you kind of start coming across around the same people. And
Of
you're like,
course.
damn, I should go to another city or something.
Right.
But it just happens. It's not the plan, but it just happens.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think we should
I
just
don't
embrace
know.
that.
So we're all hoes.
So what you're saying is we're
To
all
sum
hoes.
it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
To sum it
I'm
up.
not even taking down half of what's coming my way.
For sure. And there's some that are just sitting there marinating.
Yeah.
They've been sitting there for a few years,
Like,
sis.
maybe
Before
later.
Chris, if I had some time, I would tell you.
Wait, so I have a question though. Did Chris care? Your husband is Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Did your husband care that you used to date Lil Wayne?
No,
Did not care.
did not
Let me
care.
tell you something. What is what I've learned about Chris, just from kind of observing and seeing. Chris is not insecure about nothing. He's a very, very like tall, confident, nice looking man, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he allows Stephanie to. This is what I love about I never shared this, but this is what I love about your relationship with your husband is that he allows her to be herself.
Yeah.
Like she hasn't, let's talk about the OnlyFans. Like
Right.
she has an OnlyFans and if you go to her page, beautiful, sexy pictures, but he loves it, you know? So
Since I met my husband, I have not toned it down, not even an inch.
Wow.
When I met my husband, he's like, I love you exactly the way that you are. Your sexiness and confidence and your ability to be a model and be the baddest bitch in the room,
Wow.
I love. He's like, I don't want you to change a damn thing. Chris knows where my boundaries are, where my respect is, where my loyalty is. One thing about the Cartel Crew show is that I am a very loyal person. And it's on and off camera. That is one thing that they captured, that I am exactly who I am on camera, that I am in person. I'm very loyal. I could be as sexy as possible and have as many men thrown at me, and I do not even look right or left. I am very happy with my relationship, and if I wasn't, I would step out of my relationship, end that, and then move on to the next thing. Being sexy does not say I am a hoe, I am, going to be outside and disrespect my husband. There is way more women wearing turtlenecks around in these streets, wearing turtlenecks, disrespecting their husband, sleeping with their best friends, sleeping with their coworkers, and they're out here looking like the first lady. That you looking a certain way has nothing to do with your dignity, on where you would put your loyalty. I'm like, my husband is the perfect person for me because he has allowed me to be the model that I am, allowed me to be sexy. Sometimes we go out and he's like, you could do more. You could do better. That outfit is a little too safe. You need to go put on that sexy dress. The one that I like. Come on, put on for the city. I'm like, okay. He actually looked at my outfit today. He's like, and so what business meeting are we going to? Like, you look a little covered. I was trying to be a little, housewife. And he's like, no, baby, be sexy, be you. Like, and I have never dated a man that has accepted me truly for who I am. Chris never tries to change one thing about me. I could come and tell him right now, I'm going to do an album. I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to tour. He's like, let's go. Let's do it. And I tell him I have an OnlyFans. I actually closed my OnlyFans and opened up my OnlyFans again because he told me to. He's like, why are you closing it? Make money. He's like, whatever you're posting on Instagram, why are you posting it for free? Go make money. Like, be in a bikini, be confident, whatever you want to post. Now, me and my husband, I will say this, on OnlyFans, we share an album. Whatever goes on OnlyFans goes on this album. I am not naked. I am not in compromising positions. I do not do disrespectful things. And whatever he says is cool, it's cool. Like, my husband's also not going to allow me to bend over and show my asshole. You understand what I'm saying? There's respect. But I love that my sexiness is welcome in my house.
Right.
And if anything, I've toned it down because being a housewife, you go to other people's houses, and I've realized a lot of housewives don't look like me. So we have to sometimes tone it the fuck down. If not, you're not going to get invited to the next barbecue.
No, and
they're going to be like, don't invite Steph. She's out here with her tits out,
Right.
Like,
and you came from Miami. Miami's a different vibe.
It's pressure, babe.
You came.
It's pressure as soon as you walk in. At any place you go in Miami, you're underdressed if you're not showing out.
Right. So even you come in here, because we'll. By the way, let's just disclaimer this. Big shout out to Stephanie, because Stephanie was the one that helped us with the set of Drop the Low. So all of this we were in. Yeah. So she helps with helping me change things in my home. Yeah. She's really, really good. You're really, really good at this. We'll be at Home Goods. We go to Home Goods all the time. You
guys are viejas actually together.
We're viejas. We're at Crate and Barrel. It's funny because I've always been sexy.
Yeah.
And in my era of I'm a bad bitch, I'm on TV, I'm all these things. And then I slowed it down. And I'm now a wife, and I've found joy in just making my house a home and decorating. I didn't even know I could be that great at it. Mm-hmm. I'm literally exploring this whole new person of me that I never thought that I could be. I used to pray for the things I have now. Mm-hmm. Back then, I was way cooler, way more famous, way more talked about. I was on TV 3 seasons, on VH1. I was so cool. I was the baddest bitch. But I really did not have the peace of mind, the healthy relationship, the stability. Me and my husband were trying to have a child. I'm at this place where I'm literally living what I prayed. And I have changed my priorities, where I have found more joy in the peace than I did when I was out there popping it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Outside. And it's good to live
It's
what
great.
you pray for.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like this is the age that I'm at. I waited. I was 33 when I met Chris. I was a little bit more out of a mid age of my 30s. I was a little more seasoned. I didn't meet him at my 20s. I met him way later. I've been the bridesmaid. I've been through many baby showers. I waited my turn. And I waited for a long time. I thought to myself, I was like, maybe I'm asking for something very unrealistic. Maybe it's not for me. My mom would tell me, you're too sexy. You're never going to find someone like that.
Right.
That's too much. And I started to believe that. I said, maybe I have sacrificed being a sex symbol for true happiness. Did I do that intentionally? I was like, damn, did I date too many famous people? Now no one's going to want me. You feel like damaged goods. But that's not true. That's a fiction of our mentality. That's not a reality. That's a fiction being told by haters on Instagram. No one's going to ever like your whole ass. Oh, you've been ran through. I'm like, wow, 5 people ran through, but okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? You start to believe these narratives that people are put on these labels.
Right.
So I say that to say, just like you motivated me to be, to face my fears, just because we've been in the industry, just because we've dated a few people, just because we're sexy, does not mean we can't find happiness. And that's just something we need to get out of our minds.
Right.
Completely.
Right.
No, I love this conversation. I'm actually inspired by the fact that you have a husband that lets you be exactly who you are.
Yep.
Because he's so confident. So it's funny, I was having this conversation with Aisha a week ago when she was staying at my house. And I was like, man, I was reflecting back on like my relationships or my situationships or even my dates that I've been on, which is a lot. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I feel that like I haven't even been myself. Because most of the time I'm like, let me not be too sexy because I don't want to give the wrong idea. Let me not be too flashy because I don't want to look like a gold digger.
Right.
Let me, talk a little less because he likes the sound of his own voice. And after a while, I feel that I have dimmed my light for someone else's comfort.
Right.
Because they're so insecure. Then I'm like, no, you're great. Let me dim myself when 2 lights are better than 1, in my opinion. But yeah, like over time, I feel like I just dim, and I do it unconsciously.
Yep, I did the same thing.
Do you do that?
I did that. I was trying to be a wife, whatever that was. I was trying to be wifey material, so that would mean that I would just, tone it back down depending on who I was dating.
Yeah.
I couldn't post certain things. Oh, that's a lot. Oh, you're doing too much. Oh, you're out here. Oh, you trying to get chosen. All these things that start eating at you, and they start making you insecure. So you live your best life when you're single, but then when you start seeing someone, you start dating someone, you start molding yourself to try to be picked, because we all want to find happiness. Mm-hmm. It's not about being picked on the best guy, the richest. It's not that. It's we want to be loved. We want to find the right person. Like, I also felt insecure about, I would date guys that were a little more stable financially. Like, that was embarrassing. And in my head, I'm like, who the hell wants to be struggling? Like, in my head, I'm like, I don't know, but I don't want to struggle. I didn't need the richest, but I needed somebody that I knew had my back if I needed to kind of slow down. I'm slowing down. I'm not 25 anymore. I'm at a different age where I'm not like modeling for diva anymore. I'm not, trying to get my, 5 minutes on TV. I have been very comfortable being a wife, but finding the right person to say, you know what, Steph, you don't have to constantly chase. Just be you. I got you.
Right.
So if I'm dating because I want someone to have my back, then is that a gold digger? Or am I just being smart? Like, I feel like those were in my non-negotiables. Didn't need to be the richest man, but needed to have his shit together. If that makes us a gold digger, then that's just what I am then. You know what I mean? And understand that part. I feel like sometimes we just have to be more comfortable with our choices.
With you.
And let other people say what they want to say. Because I was being very insecure about the guys I was dating. Like, what does that look like?
Right.
I don't know. What does that look like? Does that look smart or dumb? So you tell me. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, I also moved a little bit because I was dating the athlete, the rapper, the dancer, the this. I had to change what I was going for a little bit. And that was a transition. When I met Chris, I felt different. I was like, oh, I'm slowing down different. I was used to famous, rich, and popular and all that other stuff. I had to get all that combination. Power. I was very addicted to power. And then I realized, I was like, man, I'm dating for the wrong combination. I need a man that's gonna love me for me. It's gonna love me and respect me, see worth in me. Chris doesn't see me as just another girl. Sometimes when you date these men that have really easy access, you start to become one of the many. The truth is that what you can offer, everyone else can offer. Everyone's trying to do the same thing. So I was like, you know what, let me date a man that's got his shit together, but they can see value in me, even if it's just not famous, not powerful, but in his own energy. And when I started dating Chris, I had to transition into that because it felt different. I was like, oh, I'm dating something very different. He's not famous. That's different. And then I had to adjust to that. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's something that we can start to work on too if we want. We need to put other things in perspective because we start to kind of get wrapped up in the entertainment world.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're 45. Before you know it, you're 55. You've given the best years of your life just trying to get a moment to get chosen there. While these people, whether they're 50 or 60, they're still going to be that person. They're still famous. They're still a legend. They're still that. But you've given all the best years of your life trying to have the family, have the togetherness, have the commitment, the loyalty that they're not willing to give. So I had to put some things in perspective. The things in perspective when I started dating Chris is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because it had to change.
Yeah.
I was doing the same thing.
Well, you guys have a great relationship, and you made the right choice because I feel
did.
like you guys are just seeing, you together. You guys are like two peas in a pod, and you guys have a great relationship, and I'm happy about that for you. What? Nothing. Why are you laughing?
Have you ever been in a situation where you feel like you weren't being yourself, or you were dimming your own light?
Or you had to kind of bring it back a little?
You're so funny. Have you ever toned it down to not be so funny?
I'm
always
funny. Or if you like to talk a lot and you're like, let me talk a little less because.
No, I think that the first thing that comes to mind is when I was with Antoine, I was young.
You were so yourself.
I was myself.
Yeah, you were yourself.
When I was with Chad, I was myself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I was myself. I feel like the only time I kind of brought it down a notch was when I was with Carl, but it had a lot to do with Carl's career, because Carl played baseball. That's super structure. It's not like football, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like on football you can be wild, crazy, colorful, do all the things.
Yeah.
Baseball's different,
It has a look.
It has a look.
So
here he is getting with this reality star. So I was like, shit, I can't be crazy online, so I felt like I had to more publicly bring it down. At home, I felt like I was kind of myself.
I knew all of that. I just wanted to know if we were on the same page because you've been pretty yourself.
Yeah. I only had one relationship where I felt like I couldn't be overly loud and crazy because he was a little boring. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. Do you feel like I was myself in that relationship? I felt.
Oh, yeah. I was like, which one?
I felt like, what was I doing?
The humor wasn't aligned. It wasn't.
You were on the right path of wanting to date outside of the industry, per se.
Uh-huh.
But the culture was a little too different in the way he'd move, his energy.
Yeah.
Because if you had the right energy, someone that was funny, someone that liked the finer things in life and wanted to take you out and do all these nice things, you would have been in the right spot.
Yeah.
But I think it was just so many different things that were not aligned.
Yeah, and I love, how she just said, everybody that spends time with me, I love to, I like to joke around all the time. So it just wasn't that tú sabes, it wasn't no banter. I'm like, give me something.
Give me something.
Tell me something.
Okay, but it wasn't you not being yourself. You just didn't. It wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like if I throw a joke at you or a jab at you, I want you to throw one back to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just what it is. So I like that, people that banter, so.
But you've never dimmed your own light.
I've done what she's
Like dimming yourself.
Of
like,
course.
Let me not be so pretty. Let me not
Yeah,
be so
right. Don't do so
sexy.
much.
Don't
Don't
do
say so much. What
Yeah.
are you doing? You know?
No.
be smart, but not smarter than him. And it's
Right.
like, oh my God.
It's stressful.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
I'm
So-
done doing it.
Okay, so I wanted to ask a question because obviously you did Cartel Crew.
I
People
did.
know you from being on VH1, being
Yeah.
the spicy Latina.
I was.
So, do you ever feel like you were misunderstood on the show or how you were portrayed? Yeah, like.
Oh,
how do-
absolutely. I was the villain of the show because I took on the role of protecting people. I was very loyal. Like, let's say my friend was having a situation with her ex and he was bad mouthing her. I would go to her defense. Let's say, you know, I did have a problem with a girl on the show. She wanted her 5 minutes. She wasn't even a real cast member, and she was just a friend of the cast member. And she started saying my dad got less time in jail because he was a snitch. The fact that she would even say that and put that out there, then end up wanting to apologize like she was just throwing it out there because she had heard. I said, no, you just wanted your 5 minutes on TV. I went really hard on that. And I threw bottles that endangered people, that broke. And
Oh my
like,
God, I did the same thing.
yeah, and I was like, oh my God, I got because they were trying, she showed up to a party, and I told them from the beginning, I don't want to be with her in the same room. I don't play fake. Like this has really tarnished my dad's name. My dad is out in the world. You don't know who's a part of his case, and they could say he's a snitch. I'm like, you're putting me and my family in danger. This is bigger than just TV. So they brought her, and I told them not to. So we got into it. I'm throwing bottles. I've been in situations where I've really acted out of character, but it was always in defense of someone, always in standing on what's right. I had other friends, their exes are, you know, hanging out with their friends. And I'm like, are you her friend or are you his friend? Why are you hanging out with him when my friend is not around? So I would do that. Like that's more of my approach. So I am the bad guy because I would call out when no one had the balls
Me
to call
too.
out.
I
know?
feel the same way, and I think that also you're in situations and you're shooting with people that normally you wouldn't be around.
Exactly.
You know?
Would exit the situation.
Yeah, but because you're filming a show, you're seeing this person every time you guys have like a group scene
And
or
I
whatever.
haven't even gotten over it.
Right.
And I got to see them the next week. And I just want to punch them in the face. And I'm just like, yo, I'm here. I can only be fake for so long. Like, I'm not a paid actor. I am me. And sometimes the producers or people would say things that this person has said off camera. Then I got to sit and do a scene with you. Now I'm tight. So now I can't wait to just fucking bite your head off. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I can't wait to get some things off my chest, especially when you're talking shit about me. So there's so many things that happen behind the scenes, so much brewing that's happening, so many things that you're like adding up that you end up just exploding on TV. Now, in real life, Ev, you know me. I don't look for drama. I don't start drama. I'm in my own little happy place. I'm doing, creating bubbles like her.
Right.
You know, I'm just in a bubble in my home. I'm not a confrontational person in real life. I'm not fighting people at Ralph's or, doing any of that. But when you put my back against the wall and I'm in a corner and there's a camera in my face and that person's there talking shit about me, I will go to a defense mechanism. I will be on survival mode and I will tell you what's on my mind.
Right.
So the character I played on my show, you either loved me or hated me. Pick a side.
Right.
But it's always going to be the same with me. I
Right.
can't do fake. I'm like her. But I'm on TV and I got to let people know. I got to keep them accountable.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
just that mean. That's just me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have the
Guys
same
have a lot in
character.
common.
I
We are the
know.
meaning
What?
You guys have a lot in common.
We do, and it's tough because and now that I'm a little older, we're not in Miami no more, and it's
Right.
like every season I'm like, I just want to be the OG that is just commenting on whatever you bitches got going on. You
Right.
know what I mean? And somehow, whatever, things happen, and then you're in it and you're kind of going through the thing. But I mean, once I'm done, I come back into my bubble, like my real bubble, my
Yeah.
real bubble, which going to the zoo with Blaze yesterday, going on a baseball tournament, being in New York with my family. That's my real life,
That's
So
Ev.
yeah, that's me. You come to my house, I'm home. I'm with my
Yeah.
family, my kids, my dogs.
Yeah.
I'm a creature of habit. What?
I'm the only one that drinks at your house. She like turns the lights off at 7. I'm like, you're gonna put me to sleep.
Right.
I have structure, baby.
I'm like, what's in your pantry?
I live on my like structured time, because as soon as my life is not structured, I stayed with Blaze the other night. I felt the next day I was like a zombie, but because I do well on structure.
So to just piggyback off of that, when you're on TV and you're filming a show, because they got to film the show a certain amount of time, a certain amount of months, a certain amount of weeks, like there's so much that's happening fast forward. It's very draining. People ask me all the time, oh, do you want to go do this or do that? At the time when you're filming and you're not filming, you don't want to do anything because you felt like you just given so much of your energy out there. You're drained. So when I see you and you're not filming, you just want to be bummy. You just want to be in your little element, in your little cocoon, because you're that character that gives a lot. Yeah. There's people on TV that give the bare minimum. They do enough to just pass by. They're there to be the one you talk to, but not the person that's going to say much. Their character doesn't demand that much. But when you're a character like you will go into hiding after because there's so much you're giving to this production, this show, this realness, this vulnerability. Like you're built for this.
Yeah.
Some people are not built for TV.
Yeah, and I give it all because I want the show to do good. It's like I've been there. We're 12 seasons LA, 5 seasons Miami, right? And people are always like, why do you do this shit? Go do something. I do it because I've been here since the beginning, and it first of all, it pays the bills, right? It's right. Like one of my streams of income. So it's work for me. Right. I don't do it to be famous. I don't do it because I want to be on TV. I don't do it because I want to be on the Shade Room.
That shift has failed. That failed. You don't feel like you need to.
I'm like, I don't want to be on the Shade Room. I like you bitches thrive off of that. I don't. Like, I want to be as private as I can be, but this is the career path that I've chosen, and I just try to make the most out of when I'm on the show. I'm wearing bodysuits, earrings. What are we doing? What are we discussing? Let's talk about the foundation. Granted, we need to have our drama, but it's work.
Do you find yourself putting the show on your shoulders?
I think the
yes.
But not
she's
but
like,
not just
yes.
only me. I feel like, because I don't want to take full credit. Jackie has been on the show since like the beginning. Jennifer has been on the show since the beginning. I feel like some of us have our moments where, the storyline is based on you, whatever is going on.
Yeah.
I think we all have the same goal though, is to make a good show, because we have been here for so long, and like I said before, for all of us it's work. It's a job.
To be honest, it's a little different from my show. I think everyone was giving, and I give credit to all my cast members, but the one that had to, I felt 90% of the opportunities bring in the drama was me. So it was very draining, because it was like I felt like I was carrying the drama on my shoulders.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people would just want to let things go, and I'm like, guys, we can't do that,
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. But she knows when I'm like done and tapped out, I turn off.
So why, if you've never dove into this to Basketball, Wives, and been like a full cast member? Why are you not a cast member, full on first A-list?
I don't know if I ever thought about it.
No?
To be honest, no. I never thought. I mean, we had our own show, Live in Lazada. That was more so a family based. That was more my speed at the time. But also, I was so young. Like I said the other day, I'm like, it would be so different now. Like us having our own show. And then when it came to Basketball Wives, I'm not a basketball wife, or...
Well, nobody is.
Yeah, I know. But you guys have had public relationships. Yeah. I mean, I've dated, but it's like it wasn't like a public, thing. That's one. And two, I usually go on there as your daughter, not my own identity, but I'm starting to go on there, I think, as me. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. No? Yeah.
I just
representing myself, now how the storyline is going.
Yeah. So, okay, so I have a little game, not a little game, but so I received this. This is Lisa, I'm freebasing here, but this I received in a press kit kind of like care package. And I thought that this was so good, right? So it's like, it says self-love and it's a set of cards, right? So the cards so there's 3 levels. Level 1 is your past. It asks you questions about your past. Then after you're done with level 1, you go to level 2 and it asks you questions about your present. And level 3 is your future. So it's like you're manifesting what you want in the future. So, and this one, so the past is really to reflect and talk about things that you've dealt with in your past, you know? So I'm going to pick out a card and I'm going to ask you guys a question.
Okay.
And then you guys are going to answer it.
Interesting.
Okay.
You're so cute.
Isn't it?
She's like, I have a little something.
I know. I love that. So every day I've been pulling out one of these cards and I'll read it. And it really makes me think about, like, it asks you things about your childhood. So the first level is for you to really like talk to yourself about certain things that you experienced or dealt with, whatever. So it's good. It's good. Because we feel like our past obviously really molds us into who we are today, and sometimes you don't deal with certain things. Okay, so this is the first one. What's a recent change you've noticed in yourself?
You want to go first? You go first.
You
okay, we'll think at the same time.
Okay.
We'll think. I'm gonna say my desire to just be myself, more unfiltered.
Good.
Yeah, is that it? Yeah.
So you okay? Got it.
Okay. I think it's surrendering to what I cannot control. I've always been the type of person that wanted to control things. I'm like, it's got to go this way. And I've been tested in life that you can't always control everything. So I'm surrendering to that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Let me see. Let me give
So
my
now
own.
for you.
Okay, so a recent change that I've seen in myself. I don't know if it's so recent, but I'm so like, for many years I've always felt like not at peace.
Okay.
But now where I'm at in my life, so I don't know if it's like recent, but the last couple of years, just very at peace with who I am as a woman, who I am as a mother, who I am as I'm like...
As a grandmother.
As a grandmother, like all those things, you know, a businesswoman, reality star, whatever you want to call it. Like I feel very confident and at peace with who I am today versus being insecure and like, what am I doing? Am I doing, like, I feel good.
Does that come with like age?
I think so.
I
think so. I think it comes with just your life evolving and, you know, you kind of working through things. But yeah, there's a lot of that, which years ago I would be like, what am I doing? Where am I going? I probably looked like I had it together, but I didn't. You always question yourself. And not that I think life is perfect, but I'm good. You know, that's probably why I'm like a little worried about bringing a man into my life because I'm so at peace.
Got it.
And I don't want you to fuck with my peace and what I got going on over here.
I feel you.
You know? So,
I feel you.
Yes.
yeah, it was okay.
No,
so
I see that you're calmer.
Okay, so is this present?
This is a pass, but I think this is a good one.
Okay.
What's a compliment you still remember that someone gave you and you were like, wow?
I don't know. The compliments I always love is usually energy based. Like I have good energy, or you know, it was nice to see you there. It was good to be around you. You know, your spirit is sweet. Like comments like that surpass.
Versus, oh my God, you're pretty.
Yeah,
right?
which is great too. I like to hear that too. But you know, when you go deeper into the surface, or like, you know, anything about just kindness and spirit and energy, I think those are my favorite compliments.
So I have a deeper one and then a shallow one.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go start with the deeper one. The deeper one is, you know, you're not what I expected. You're so nice.
Yeah.
You're so kind. I enjoy talking to you. you feel safe, you feel calm, I feel like, you feel like a friend that I've never thought I needed or had or whatever.
Right.
It's always more deeper about people complimenting my personality. I love that. And then of course the one it's, oh, you look so much beautiful in person. I'm like, I love that compliment. Because it's like, oh my God, you look so much prettier in person. And I don't know, that one kind of sticks with me. I get that one a lot. And it actually makes me feel good because even though beauty isn't everything, I work really hard in maintaining myself. I work out. Yeah. I do all my skin things. I'm always on the next thing. I'm like, I when people compliment me, makes me feel like I'm doing a good job.
Yeah. Right.
So, you got to be obviously inside very connected and, have some type of depth. Is that how you say it? Depth. Sorry, English was not my first language. Depth. And then obviously physically with what you put in and all this effort, I want to make sure people also see that and be like, you're beautiful. Not only in pictures, but in person with all these apps and stuff. Some people are deceiving, catfishing out here in these streets. So I do compliment. I appreciate that compliment.
No, we love the shallow compliments.
Yeah, we do.
Especially when you work on yourself. Yes. Like, my legs wouldn't look how my legs look if I didn't go work out. Right. So if I get a compliment about my legs, I'm like, wow. You know how many deadlifts?
Yeah. You know how many times I get up that I don't want to work out and work out? Yes. Thank you for the compliment.
No, it does. It feels
so good. For me, and I'm going to circle back to the beauty appointments and then we'll wrap it up because you don't play about your appointments. Shanice doesn't either. So I think the greatest compliment that I have ever received are you have amazing kids. That is the biggest compliment. To me, it's not you're pretty, you're funny. Those are cool. I like when you tell me I'm funny because I'm like, I could be more funny.
You're like, I'm on my Kevin Hart shit.
Let me give you more jokes. Let me give you more jokes. I can make you laugh even more because I love to laugh and I love to make people laugh. But that is the greatest compliment that people, parents, if Leo goes over or if anyone meets Shanice is you have the most amazing nice kids. Because when you become a mom, that's going to be your greatest compliment because you're like, okay, I'm really amazing. I'm raising amazing human being.
But you do raise children for the world.
Yeah.
So Shanice's baby's too small to really have that impact, but she understands, like, when you go out in the world, she's a representation of you. And when you feel like as a mom, you're like instilling all these like proper etiquettes and like be proper and be respectful. And, you go out to someone's house and someone's like, oh my God, this woman is so put together. It's a reflection of you. So we are not there yet, but we'll definitely have that as a we'll probably think that's a compliment. And it would mean the world to us.
For sure.
All that hard work. She is your hard work.
Exactly.
Like walking around in the world, and so is Leo. So I tell you all the time, Leo is he's just so sweet and so kind and so respectful. And that has to come from your teachings.
Yes.
And you being like, listen, you say thank you, you say please, you say, So I understand why that would be a compliment.
Yeah, that just me. I'm like, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're
that
really
is
sweet today.
You know what? Stand up and give us a spin around. This is Steph's
office look.
This is her wife look.
Wait, I gotta make sure that I'm fixing this.
This is her like I'm married. You look
a housewife, right?
You look like a sexy housewife.
Right? I'm being conservative as my pits are out.
So
I love it. I love it. I'm so happy that you came today. So me and Stephanie meeting, it was like we always say it was a slow burn. It was kind of like, we have mutual friends, but once I started hanging out with you, I was like, I like her. I fuck with her.
We're in LA. And LA doesn't have a lot of Spanish, Puerto Rican, Caribbean, Cuban, Dominican kind of vibe here. You get, more of the Mexican and stuff. So we clicked because it's like she felt like home to me.
Yeah.
Not only does she feel like home, we were on the same we're on the same channel. I don't know, if we really think about it that way, but we were on the same channel. We're from the same culture. We live in the same neighborhood. And I feel like, you should be friends with your neighbors. And she's so she's so like me. She's so real. You don't like mess with everybody. You know,
Right.
you're selective. I'm
Right.
selective. You know, so I feel like we've come a long way in our friendship, and I like that because it was so genuine. It didn't need to be all at once.
Right.
We've seen each other a few times before we even exchanged numbers, and then it built from there.
Yeah.
And we've been through some shit because, you know, LA is hot right now with all these like robberies and stuff like that. So we've connected on a few stuff.
Yeah.
But our personalities match, and I love our little home good runs and our crate and barrel stuff. And I love that you could pour into me like I pour into you. It's a friendship that goes both ways.
Yes.
It's not just we're friends because you were on TV and I'm this, and no, it's
Right.
friends because we genuinely like each other.
Right.
Like we enjoy each other's company.
Yeah,
So,
for
yeah.
sure. Well,
So
thank
many
you so
more.
much. Many more. Thank you for coming by,
Thank
drop
you.
the low, and
Yes.
kicking it with us.
I loved it. I
Yeah,
need to come back
we're
again.
actually going to sushi together.
yeah,
now.
Katsuya,
Yeah.
as we always do.
Of course, I was about to say on your sushi date.
Yes, our sushi dates.
Thank
Yep.
you so much for tuning in to another episode of Drop the Low. Love you and stay tuned.